The actual Sagrada Familia is not yet finished, and to have an image of how it might look when it is done would be the challenge, and we had a go at it, and this is the result. It was started in the late 19th century by the famous architect Antoni Gaudí. The main theme of the Modernism or of Art Nouveau or Jugendstil in Germany, that you take your inspiration from nature and do something new or until then unknown in architecture, in design, or in clothing, in art. So it also was about bringing living, believing nature and art together. He had the idea that the inside of the Sagrada Familia should resemble a forest. You see this idea at the back entrance here too. You have the pillars shaped like tree trunks and branches at the top of it to hold the roof. Designed this curved towers as hyperbolas, and he let the shape be built by a so-called hanging model. For this he would hang up ropes and put bags filled with sand and there in the rows and let them just hang down, and so he had hyperbolas which he just turned upside down to have the shape for his towers. This, of course, gave not very much idea of things like supporting structure or anything like that. He would not live to see his project finished. Even if he wasn't being driven over by a bus or tram, it was in front of the church actually, just like that. When they told him about that, and if he didn't want to simplify certain things or rather keep to knowledge they already gained about architecture and stuff like that, he said he wouldn't change anything because his client has every time to wait. He wasn't in a hurry, he said. He meant God with it, of course, and said God isn't in a hurry. So I can take the time to build it, and yeah, and they still build it. They want to have it finished by 2026. I'm a big planner when going to set myself on big projects. I just don't doodle or start with it without having a clue on how to begin and how to move on from that point on. So I first did some very long and some very detailed research. Then I made myself stencils. I tried one of these towers first because I wanted to see how detailed I can go and which size I should take for the whole church. I'd say definitely the three facades, because they're telling the story about Christ's birth or Christ's death, and you want to see these tiny little figures doing something, because it wouldn't have that impact at all if it was just plain or something with bubbles or blobs on it. So that was the most delicate work. I was actually sitting there and forming the hot extruded plastic with pincers to make them even thinner or make some sort of gap between head and body to keep them as small as possible but visible as persons. When I had to assemble this one, I gently pushed it half over the edge of my table, just enough to not let it fall down, and kneeled under it and doodled the whole thing upside down. It was a big challenge, but I like big challenges, and I saw it growing. I was so frustrated, I even took one facade off again because it didn't fit into the rest, it was too short. It was when assembling the single pieces I had those outbursts of aggression.